What's going on, guys? Jivan back with another video, and today is a video you guys have been requesting like crazy: how to fight Cash Cup edition. This past week in the Cash Cup, I tried to do a live commentary and it did not go very well, but our mid-game fights were absolutely nuts. We killed a couple pros. So throughout this video, we're going to be breaking down some of these fights. Before we hop into it, please consider using code JivanTV in the Fortnite item shop, hitting that like button, subbing if you're new, and without further ado, let's get into this video. So the first fight we're going to check out is actually against a pro player. He pushed me way on the edge of map here, and I really should have lost this fight, but when he jumped in my box here, I worked the ramp really well in the box. It may be hard to see in super fast motion, but for all these clips, we're going to slow them down and go into detail. So to start the fight, the reason I was in such a bad spot is because I was stuck on a really awkward lair. You do not want to be stuck on low ground when getting pushed like this. This is where I started to take control of the fight. He jumped in and took the ramp. I literally had a headshot lined up here, but I phased up the ramp right as I took the shot, so it missed. This was his ramp, so I had to break it as fast as possible to make it mine. I know that as soon as he edits that brick ramp, it'll be one shot, so I take it with my shotgun really quickly before he can get a shot on me. And then he breaks it back, and that's when I get my shot off. This fight may have seemed like I won a lucky 50-50, but I played that really well considering the circumstances. Like I said, that first clip is the only fight I really should have lost, but we're just going through the fights in chronological order. Fight number 2 is super sketchy. We're in bony burbs on the edge of zone, which means lots of people are going to be rotating in here. So when I started getting pushed by 2 players, I was like, dang, this is beat because we're going to have more third parties most likely rolling up. Keeping that in mind, I knew I needed to either dip out of here fast or clean up the fight fast. Luckily, I saw a perfect opportunity to end this fight fast based on positioning. Let's slow it down and talk about it. At the start of the fight here, I got this nice shot on the opponent by just dipping out of the box and setting up a peek, but you can notice here that I'm in the middle of the 2 players, so I need to position myself on the outside of this fight, that way someone else is in the middle. So I waste a good amount of mats to get around the outside of this player, and I claimed his wall, set up that peek shot perfectly there, and because he was in the middle, he instantly died. I pushed up after that to try to get some of the valuable loot just in case we each decided to dip from this fight. But this player started walking into my wall. So the best way to handle this situation is to back up, set up a peek from a box away. The way you edit a wall from that far away is you have your wall build out when you press the edit button. This will allow you to edit it from further back. Once I get that free shot on him, I just try to bait him into making an edit. He gets the shot on me because I was a little slow to react, but all in all, we cleaned up the fight there very, very well. In this next fight, the motive for fighting this player was, if I win this fight, I get that supply drop. So I know no matter what, if I win this fight, I'm going to have better loot than when I started. That's the main way I look at fights. I try to determine whether I need the loot from the fight or not. If I have no movement or anything, maybe I'll take a fight to try to get some launch pads. In this situation, I was guaranteed a launch, so it was definitely worth. So this dude was on the run for most of this fight, so I just kept chopping him out, applying pressure to his walls, pretending like I'm gonna phase jump in, constantly baiting pickaxe swings on his wall. All in all, this is a good example for how to pressure a player when they're weak. This whole time when I'm pressuring through his builds, I expect him to turn around and try to take some shots at certain points, so I make sure to have my gun ready at random points in that fight, just in case that's what he does and I can get some shots off as well. I'm not going to slow this clip down because it wasn't that deep, I was just pressuring like crazy. Let's move on to the next fight. So this fight was against the pro Who Fishy, and we hardly took any damage in this fight. It was almost perfect. I'm going to let you watch it and then I'll slow it down after. Okay, we're pushing this kid. Dang it, bro. He's getting all these heals off. This kid is mad weird, dog. Kid is getting worked on a million levels, yet he still wants this. So he just ends up dying to fall there at the end. Must have been like a bug or something because he hit a launch. But we had some god moments, like the start here. I see him pressuring this wall, and so I go for a quick shot from above to start it off, to say I'm not scared to fight. Then right here, as I'm edit coursing towards him, I see I get this wall in front of him. Knowing that, I go to pre-box one of the sides, because typically when you get a wall or a ramp in their box, they're going to reposition. However, as we already saw, he hit the zipline and I was able to get a free beam. But he wasted a ton of mats to reposition so he could get heals off. So I was still really set for endgame. You know, I have 2 launches, harpoon, max heals, good weapons. So I didn't need this fight. I just focused on getting back up to zone. But he wanted to fight on the way up, so we ended up fighting. I focused on getting some elevation so that I'm not the one trapped underneath. It allows me to get a free shot right here. After dealing some damage, I move in to apply a little more pressure, but he played backwards, so I just made sure I got up the hill a little more so that I don't get suffocated by the mountain. But he gets over top of me. He probably cranked 90s out the back, and I set up this Martas peak in case he edits through that wall. Eventually, he drops back down and pickaxes my floor because it's one shot since I just edited it. And that's when I go for the side jump out the side to do a little bit more damage. At this point, I have a 70 health advantage, and so I start really fighting back. We're already pretty much up the hill, so we just gotta finish this fight now. By editing the wall like that, I disconnect his floors, and that gives me another free shot, and then I don't even want to talk about these edits. He just dies to fall damage, and yeah. This next fight is a really good example of how to play a little bit defensive in a fight. I noticed right off the bat that this player was playing very aggressive, so I kind of play backwards while fighting. Check it out. So I finished this fight off really rough, but there's a lot of good stuff to learn from this fight. First thing, anytime I'm starting a fight from low ground, I always look for this peek shot. It starts how you just jump, and as soon as your head goes over that floor, you take the shot and switch to your wall build immediately. If you get the timing of this down, you can oftentimes start a fight with a health advantage, but in this situation, he landed in a tree above me and got the health advantage at the start, but that move is great when you're starting on low ground. Following that, notice how I'm just piece controlling while walking backwards. I'm trying to create boxes for the enemy while moving backwards. This is a really good playstyle to use when the enemy is just kind of psychoing forward brainlessly. All you gotta do is protect your angles while looking for opportunities to fight back like I'm doing here. It works so well, and it helps prevent you from getting boxed. I heal up and then push him. He's on high ground here. I don't know if he's holding a peek or not from above. So instead of just jumping up there, I build boxes while I move up, just in case he's holding a peek. Then, once I get up to high ground and can figure out where he is, I use high walls and side jumps to get elevation on the opponent, and then this is a really good technique that I don't see many people using. Notice how I turn sideways while taking this peek shot. This makes it feel more like a right-hand peek instead of just running straight up and looking down. Doing it like this and moving sideways while going to take the peek shot can make it a lot easier to deal damage and block the opponent's shot as well. I've noticed that's helped me a lot when taking peeks from high ground. I finished it off with a 50-50 because he had his AR out, but I choked my pump shot so it came down to the wire. The next fight was so clean. I was at a health disadvantage for most of this fight, but we turned it around so nicely here. So this player for most of the fight was just holding his gun out, waiting for me to make edits so that he could pre-fire it. And it was working at the start. So I set up the most insanely optimal peek to get the health advantage. Getting peeks like this down where the opponent has no visibility on you takes a ton of practice in Raiders piece control maps and a lot of mentality training to stop making unoptimal edits. Doing mongrels through the window like this is so good. Once I got that health advantage, I just had to hunt him down as fast as possible before he could get heals off, and I could have done another mongrel through a window here, but I got that back wall without him even knowing, so I just went for a quick edit. Next fight falls along similar lines as that previous one. In this fight, I was about to make a really unoptimal edit, but then I noticed the opponent just had his gun aimed at me, and so I took a second, backed up, and made this edit. Another thing we did really well in this fight, which you'll see right here, is when I'm pressuring their wall, I'm trying to get any builds I possibly can behind, in front of the enemy, you know, all around them. So as soon as I broke that front wall, I placed the wall at the back of the box, as you can see. Placing any builds you can while pressuring the enemy is crucial to throwing them off, getting piece control opportunities, and applying pressure. And then right here is where I backed up and set up that optimal peak. Beautiful. Now this is the last fight of the video that we're gonna break down. This fight we use so many good techniques. I'm gonna let you watch it, then we'll break it down. So many good techniques there. Let's slow this down. So right off the bat here, I get this edit down play where I have a chance to shoot the enemy, but something I could have done better here is placing this wall instead of taking a shot. If I would have placed the wall first here, I would have had an opportunity to fully box the opponent and not take any damage. Once he gets that health advantage, I know he's gonna psycho, and that's a perfect time to bait a mini and go for a pre-fire while walking backwards. Notice how when I took that pre-fire, I was positioning myself towards the back of the box so that I could place this wall and avoid getting boxed by the opponent. After that, I went for the window mongrel edit out the side here. Almost got him with it. It literally looks like the bullets are on him, but either way, we did it safely so we didn't take any damage. Now right here in the fight, you may be thinking, Jivan, you're putting yourself in an awful position by standing on this ramp. He can cone you and box you. But I have counter piece control to the left, so if he does do that, I can edit out the side and set up a peek shot. But at this point in the fight, I'm just looking for an opportunity to either take the wall, get some builds in his box, and apply some pressure back. So right here, I was literally just baiting him, and I got him to make the edit, slipped a ramp in his box, and then I claimed this wall. I could have set up a window peek here, it would have probably been more optimal, but he escapes out the side and this is perfect. He's in a perfect position for me to slip a ramp and a wall behind him. And once I get that stuff in there, the fight is basically over. Really good fight. This video was heavily requested, so I hope you guys enjoyed this. Hopefully it helps you out. If it did, be sure to hit that like button, sub if you're new, use code JivanTV, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.